And joining us now is Loyola Marymount Professor Michael Genovese. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with the letter from her staffer. It says that there are major leadership problems. What are you reading into all of this?
Well, Senator Harris had a very quick rise with her announcement, but also a very quick fall. She never found her voice and she never found her message. And so now, because of poor management, and part of that's her fault, the campaign's just imploding. They had to fire staff already. And as with Watergate, as with President Trump, the key is always follow the money. And so once the smell of blood is in the air, campaign money dries up. And that would spell ruin for her campaign. She has a very quick deadline. She can't lose the California primary, which is March 3rd, by a large margin. That would be humiliating. So she has until December 26th to pull out. I would guess that she will do so right before that. Really?
What about her asking for money for an ad?
It's a last gasp effort. It's a desperation move. I think she's never really caught on with the voters. She never really had that key message that was identified with her.
And I mean, to lose someone like she has, there aren't that many people that really lead campaigns. So do you think it's because the pool is so large that there weren't a lot of folks to work on her campaign?
No, I think there are some people out there who are terrific and experienced. She had some experienced people. The problem is they didn't coordinate well and they didn't work well together. And so what you're going to see happening now is, well, the first big primary, which is a caucus, is Iowa. That's February 3rd. February 11th is the first primary, New Hampshire. Those are unrepresentative states. Very white, quite rural. But on the 29th of February, that's South Carolina. A lot of African-American voters. And so what Biden's strategy is, he has to do well enough, third, even fourth in those first two, because South Carolina is going to be his big state. Buttigieg, who has a great ground game in Iowa, might look really strong in the first two. South Carolina could be his undoing. So the key then becomes California and Super Tuesday, March 3rd. California, Texas, about 10 other states. That's when we'll know who the nominee will likely be. At least 2 or 3 will emerge from that.
Do you think that Harris's, outlook on being so tough on crime, do you think that it's hurting her with minority voters?
Well, crime was so last season. This season, it's how do you beat Trump? What are you going to do about the environment? What are you going to do about economic justice? What are you going to do about health care? And so none of those were really Harris's issues. And so she's kind of left out in the cold. Had crime become a big issue, people would have turned to her. As it is, she never captured an issue and never captured the romance of the primary.
Okay, we want to talk a little bit about the impeachment inquiry, which is heading to the Judiciary Committee. That committee is offering President Trump the chance to actually have his lawyers participate in the next phase of hearings. Is there any chance that that will actually happen?
If his lawyers have a say, no. The president has been raging for weeks about how unfair the process is. And Representative Nadler, the head of the Judiciary Committee, called his bluff. He's offering unprecedented access. The president's lawyers, be careful what you wish for. The president's lawyers are saying, maybe that's what you wish for, but don't do it. Don't do it. It can only mean trouble. What you want to do is not focus more attention on the president's offenses or his grievances. You want to just have that fade away as much as you can. To have the president there, and it's not unprecedented to have presidents before the Senate or the Congress. George Washington did it when he went to the Congress about a treaty. Gerald Ford testified under oath about the presidential impeachment of Nixon. So it's not unprecedented, but it just would be bad form, and I think the president's lawyers would try to tackle him on the Oval Office floor if he tried to do that.
Real quick before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about his surprise visit to Afghanistan. Did that surprise you at all?
This is the time you do it, when everyone's distracted by holidays. He was there for just a few hours. He has to really try to revive the peace talks in Afghanistan, because remember, his campaign promises were to pull out America first. There are about 12 to 14,000 troops there now. He wants to get them down to about 8,600. And so he basically announced the restart of the peace talks with the Taliban. The problem is he didn't tell the Taliban. So they're going, okay, we'll do it on my terms. So the president made the announcement. Now he's forced to do that at a time when he has a lot of repair work to do with the military brass over the basically a clemency for the Navy SEAL who engaged in war crimes. So he's doing this at a time when politically he's in some hot water with the military, and it's going to be a tough road for him with Afghanistan.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Genovese. We appreciate your time.